Welcome back to Turpy Eyes, back with another video for the channel. Seemed like you guys really liked the last video showing the Turpy Eyes Cafe and Blem Genetics space. So I'm gonna really start vlogging every detail that goes into putting these spaces together. So today we're up in the Blem Genetics room where we are going to be doing some upgrades on the space to get it ready for the grow tents up in here. So last video we showed that I already have done the 2-ton AC system, which is located there. I have done some electrical upgrades in here. Let me move these lights for you. I've added a plug over here in this corner where we're gonna have our mother plants. I've done the new light in the roof on the ceiling, done a new ceiling fan, and another light here. The two lights are on a switch located over there, which is new. We put in a second new plug over here, and we then have our fan controller here. So we got 3 settings on the fan. Don't mind this. I'm going to be putting new face plates and switches and plugs in this space to clean that up. Otherwise, this place is really good, all set up. It looks like these windows have never been cleaned or doing any purpose on sealing this room airtight. So that's our project for today. I have my supplies here. We got a razor blade to scrape the windows. Got an X-Acto knife to cut our vinyl that we're gonna be blacking out the windows. Some scissors to also cut there. We got some window cleaner and some paper towels. This is probably not gonna be enough, but I hope I don't have to run to the store to grab another roll of that. We got some gray general purpose silicone here, 3 tubes. We got the silicone gun there, some double-sided tape, and this is window film, which you use a hair dryer to tighten up to make the entire window airtight. So with these supplies, first step is to clean the windows. As you can see, they're pretty dirty and have paint on them. So first order of business is to spray the window down, scrape it with the razor blade so there's no contaminants on the window. We'll do some cleaning with the window cleaner and the paper towel. We'll put some vinyl on these windows to black them fully out, and then we'll come around with the silicone and do all the edges of all the windows and the frames. Make it as airtight as possible, and because these windows are so old, I'm also going to be double siding tape along this edge all the way around this whole window. We'll get one entire sheet, we'll do another entire sheet across the top, and then we'll figure out a way to make this door airtight because there is a pretty big gap there. So putting a piece of aluminum angle right there should do the trick to make this entire door sealed up. And with the window film going across everything, we'll have an air gap between the window film and the window. And then hopefully my silicone job is good enough to make it fully airtight, but if not, the window film will do this job also. Okay, so the first step was to spray all the windows down with this. All that was in this was water and some dish soap. Soaked all the windows, so I'm gonna let that be wet while I do the next step, which is scraping. I am using this, which is a razor blade. I don't know how, there you go, just a razor blade on a holder. So all I'll do is pretty hard to film this as the light is on the other side of the camera, and then I'll just go across the entire window and scrape anything that's on it off, making sure to get all areas. So I'll do that now, and then we'll jump back in after it's clean. The inside of the windows are fully cleaned now. Doesn't really look much of a change just because the exterior of the windows are just so filthy. I don't think these windows have been cleaned in probably 20 years. The frames are disgusting. The glass was caked on dirt, and just even scraping it, just the amount of filth that came off was ridiculous. I ended up running out of paper towel, and all I have right now are tissue paper, which is not the best item to be cleaning the windows with, but we're gonna make do with what we have right now and move on to the next step, which is cutting the vinyl to the size of the window, and there'll be a separate piece for each window. So we have a lot of cutting to do and putting it on the window. Okay, so I finished up putting the vinyl on the windows. It's clearly letting light in still around the edges. The conditions of these window seals are very terrible. Some are in, some are out, not very straight. So it made it very difficult to cut the vinyl around the edges to make it completely so it doesn't have any light leaks. So overall, happy with how the vinyl went on the glass, but around the edges is obviously not perfect. That's okay because we got the gray silicone that I will wait till all the water has evaporated overnight, and then tomorrow I'll come around and gray silicone all the edges, which will fully fill in all those gaps where the light is coming in. Unfortunately, I didn't have my tape measure here when I ordered the vinyl, so I kind of guessed it and ended up being, for a roll that was supposed to go this way, it ended up being about 1 inch too short. So I had to put the pieces sideways to make it cover the entire space. So each window has 2 pieces on it, unfortunately. And this is the first gap that I did, and obviously you can see some light there. So I'll put some black electrical tape along these 2 gaps, and then gray silicone around the edges, which will take care of all the light leaks. As for the air, being airtight, like in there and then in between the window, because it all does move. It's very shaky window, so I will silicone every single edge of this window all the way around, which will take care of it being airtight. And then the next step after that will be putting on the clear film, which makes it have an extra layer of insulation kind of, because there will be an air gap between the plastic film, the window, and then the outside. Okay, so I don't know how much the time lapse showed you guys, but we got all the silicone done, well, most of the silicone for today, around all the edges of the windows. Everywhere that there's a panel going into another aluminum panel is silicone. Over here is just a little wet, and the silicone won't stick right there, so I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. And then along here also all silicone tomorrow once all the water is dried up from putting on the vinyl. But everywhere else is completely sealed. So very happy about that. Tomorrow we'll check back in when I finish up the silicone, and we'll see how there's no more light coming through this area. Okay, I ended up getting all the siliconing done around the edges of the vinyl now. I ended up getting some black silicone, so it looks a lot better than the gray. So the gray silicone stayed on the gray frame, and then I used black silicone on the outer edges of the black vinyl. So it looks pretty good for what it is. So it's pretty much daytime outside. You can see the black silicone is glossy, so it's not perfect, but I feel like it looks pretty decent for what it is. Everything's sealed up and nice and tight now. Like when you shake this window, it doesn't shake anywhere now. I'll open this door so you get a good idea how much sunlight is actually outside. So there it is, it's full day on the window. And then as I close it, still need to wait for some seals that come around for the door. I think that arrives in the next day or two, but I'll shut off the light in here so you can see just how air and light tight it is now. So there we go. Everything is blacked completely out other than around the door, which we'll take care of in the next couple days. And then there's one opening right here that I'll have to spray foam. I just need to run a couple cables out there for cameras on the front of the building, and then also Wi-Fi that goes down to the other level to bring Wi-Fi up here. But overall, happy with the results. So let's jump into the second half of this video, which will cover the mother plants and then the drying process that we are completing right now on the grow tent areas. Gonna give you guys a quick update on my mother plants behind me, as it's been a few weeks that they've just been on cruise control. I haven't really done much, just kept the watering up, even sometimes let the watering getting a little bit too dry, which I've done in the past many times. So I'm not scared of showing the mistakes that I make, just being too focused on other things that are going on right now, like the commercial facility and the store. So let's take a quick look at the mother plant. So simple setup here. We just got our plants under a VivoSun 645 watt LED light. It's currently on 25% or 20%, very low lighting. You can see how stretched out these plants are just from the super low intensity light. But we got quite a few different phenos in here. This is Stomp Berries, Permanent Chimera, and Platinum Pave. Most of the phenos that looked good, I tossed out the plants that I didn't like that were from the grow tent room. So we narrowed down quite a few plants. So this is what's left. I will be cloning out a bunch of these plants to make it easier for transporting these genetics over to the new Blem Genetics space. So we'll be clearing out this space finally and making it a normal room again, which I'm very happy about to get back. Just want to add a quick section into this video of the drying process of our grow tents. If you've been following along with the entire grow tent series, then this is just a little added bonus into this video, as it's currently day 16 of the drying process, and I'll just give you a quick look at all the plants right now. So something I didn't show in the previous video is I added a humidifier to the space, because our AC is working quite a bit to keep the temperatures down to 60%. So we have 60 degrees. So it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit with a 54% relative humidity. It's actually a lot closer to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 60% relative humidity. I just turned the lights on for the video purposes a couple minutes ago, so I can take this clip and update for you guys. But I have added the humidifier, which has a UV light in it, which also disinfects the water that's coming out of here and the air that's going through this entire unit, keeping our environment in here very stable. So I could realistically leave these plants in here for 20-30 days with the combination of our humidifier and our AC system, keeping it at the 60-60 rule for the drying process, which kind of just turns into a long curing process if we didn't trim out the plants all now. So I'm a little busy at the commercial facility, so I'm going to give these plants another day or two of drying in this process before we buck the buds off of the stems and then get to trimming all of this bud in here. So we got the 2x4 or the Stomp Berries hung vertically on the trellis netting. All I have is the trellis netting zip tied to the cross pole in a couple spots, and then one at the bottom in the corner, one at the bottom in the corner there, giving us 2 levels of trellis netting in here. I have done a third before, so if you're limited on space for drying, this is a solid dry setup for anybody. We do have one oscillating fan pointing air across the bottom and one oscillating fan across the top pointing air this way, so we kind of get a cyclone effect of the air getting circulated in through this entire tent over here. Over here, we just cut the grow bags out of the bottom, remove them completely, and let the plants dry inside the trellis netting. Same with over here on the other Stomp Berries here. We got the Permanent Chimera over here. And then in the Platinum Pave tent, we just simply cut the plants off of the stems and then left all the pots inside the grow tent. We can see the buds in here looking very nice. So over the next couple days, we'll get to trimming over this, and then I'll update you guys when that happens. So that's pretty much all the time I have for this week's video. I think we're gonna step it up to 2 videos per week, just so we can cover all the grow spaces, the commercial facility, this grow tent space, which is going to be moved over to the Blem Genetics new grow space, and then also the Terpy Eyes Cafe, since we just started that new series also last week. If you haven't checked out that video, we are opening a store in Thailand, so go check out the Terpy Eyes Cafe video that was posted last video, I believe it was. And big shout out to VivoSun for supplying all the grow equipment for this grow space, and along with FlexStar supplying the under canopy lighting. Without those 2 companies supporting me, it goes a really long way in supporting the channel and letting me provide the content to you guys to enjoy. So until next time, happy growing everyone, and remember to get out there and make it happen.